Good afternoon. Everybody give themselves a round of applause. You have stayed to the end.
Woo!
It's awesome. It's awesome. We're going to continue the theme with you today with client and employee onboarding. I think it's something that is low-hanging fruit for us that we haven't really done a great job as an industry designing and implementing and measuring the way that we go about doing this. So today, I am going to talk about the client experience side of the house, statistically what's happening in the industry, some trends that we're seeing, the reason why we want to focus on onboarding clients in a very designed and intentional way. And my business partner here, Chandra, is going to talk about the employee side. So if you're not familiar with Client Savvy, welcome, first and foremost, but I want to tell you a little bit about us. So we are known for designing, implementing, and measuring client experience management programs for professional services. We've been around for almost 20 years, founded in 2004. You met Ryan Saddam, and Mike Phillips is another founder of our organization who ran a 36-year-old architectural firm here in Raleigh and was very successful and implemented a lot of what we do here at Client Savvy. We are focused on outcomes. So when you think about, you hear a lot about feedback when you hear about us, but it's not a survey. It's what you do with the information that you get. It's the outcomes that you focus on. It's the things that you try to achieve. And so I think that's really a differentiator for Client Savvy and who we are. And it's one of the reasons why we work with over 550 firms in 20 time zones. We were designed specifically for professional services. And so anytime you work with us and anytime you work with Chandra, it's our understanding of the industry itself that I think allows us to really take a good look at data and deliver some great insights and then turn into business outcomes. All right, so let's jump into this. We've been preaching this forever.
Long time.
Forever. That we, as leaders of our organization, think that we're delivering a great experience. And our clients may not necessarily agree with us. And a couple of years ago, Bain and Company did a survey to 360-some CEOs, and they went and they asked them, they said, are you delivering an above-average client experience? So some of y'all know this, so please don't answer if you do. But what percentage of the CEOs do you think said, yes, we are delivering an above-average experience? Come on. No, if you know the answer. 75. So 80% of the CEOs said yes. So for all of our engineers in the room, right, that's statistically impossible. 80% of you can't be delivering an above average experience. My favorite part of this, then they went out to their clients. Bain & Company went out to all of their clients and said, are they delivering an above average experience to you? What percentage of their clients do you think agreed? I love this. The number's always way higher from the crowd. 8.
Ouch.
8. So, this is what is now known as the CX gap. And there's a lot of different ways that this breaks down, where we don't deliver the experience that we hope and set out to do with our clients. The first way that this happens is a failure to design. We get so focused on the project, the product, the thing that we're doing that we don't really take a step back, empathetically think about the way that we interact with our clients and design a process. But then you can design the process and not execute on it. Who's been a part of a strategic plan that's set on a shelf? This is what happens in our industry a lot. Thank you for raising your hand. The one truthful man in the room.
There are a few over there.
So a lot of times we'll design, we think of this different way, but then we really fail to execute it. And the toughest part about all of this is a failure to deliver capabilities and renew CX. So we come up with a plan, we know right, we work with right, but we don't ever really change. We're not agile with our approach. We don't change it to continue to improve. It's not sustainable. We can't repeat it. So you can deliver an exceptional experience the first time to your client, go work with them on the second project, and you've done what? You've set the expectations really high, and you come in and you don't deliver the same way the next time. And so now there's a little bit more of a failure there because you're not delivering the same experience that they've come to expect. So some recent trends, you may seen a little bit of this at the beginning of the conference, but right going into COVID, CX adoption and implementation really actually started to drop. And it's interesting because when COVID hit, what did we all do? Instead of looking outward at our clients, what did we do? We looked inward. We focused on the business. Like our clients were anxious, we were anxious. They didn't know new expectations. We didn't know the new expectations. And our client experience strategy really seemed to just kind of fall off the map a little bit. Meanwhile, our clients are out there with their hands up going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the new expectations are. I can't see you. We can't meet together. But then something miraculous happened, where in Q3 of 2020, you can see feedback requests went up, CX initiatives went up, and they just started to spike. And we've seen that trend continue since Q3 of 2020. S&PS did some research, and they noticed that 54% of leaders in the professional services space believe client experience is the #1 reason why your clients will be choosing you. Meanwhile, Gartner says 91%. If you're not familiar with Gartner, they're a phenomenal research firm, put a lot of data points out there. And client experience is the reason. It's not your price. It's not that you're multidisciplinary, multi-practice. It's not that you're in a bunch of different geographies. It's do you make their lives easier, safer, and better? And that trend is continuing to happen. We now see 19% of professional service firms are reporting adopting a CX strategy. Meanwhile, 88% of the Fortune 2000 have one. So we're lagging a little bit, but the good news is 3 years ago, it was about 3% of the firms in professional services have adopted a CX strategy. So we're starting to see a change. Meanwhile, there's still a huge opportunity here for you. Who's familiar or not, better yet, who's not familiar with Net Promoter Score? Okay, great. So here's your average Net Promoter Scores across the professional services sector. You can see there's not that big of a variance, but this is your top quartile NPS by industry for those who are practicing client experience. Does anyone raise your hand if you know that your NPS is lower than this? All right, so there is a lot of correlation between Net Promoter Score and financial returns to your business. And so when you start to design and implement client experience management programs inside of your organization, you can then do some really interesting financial correlation analysis. Eddie Staley, you've done a lot of stuff with this, I believe, in Power BI that show miraculous results. And these are the type of firms that you're competing with that have implemented these strategies. So what drives Net Promoter Score? What drives raving fandoms? So let me ask you, why do your clients choose you? Mitch, why do your clients choose you?
#1 reason is sadly responsiveness.
Responsiveness.
Accessibility.
Okay. How about you? Why do your clients choose you?
Our legal expertise.
Your legal expertise. Okay. Lori, how about you? Trust. Okay. So it's interesting when you go and you talk to most firms, you say, what are your differentiators? Why do you use us? And I'm sorry to pick on you, but expertise, we're multidisciplinary. We're in all these different locations. We are innovative. Really, what the top drivers are engage as a partner. So not just, if you're in construction, they don't want the building. They want the outcomes that the building brings. They don't want the building. They don't want the project. They want the outcomes that they bring. Look what the required are. This is the lowest drivers of fandom in our industry. Are we using these as our differentiators in our statements, in our marketing, in our proposals? Our reputation, our knowledge, our expertise. These are the things that we're saying. So nowadays, what they're looking at is how do you treat me as a partner? How do you focus on business outcomes? And for the firms that are doing that, they're seeing some exceptional rewards financially, both in the employee experience and in the client experience arena. So great quote from Zweig here, 2% increase in client retention is the same as 10% reduction in cost. So the question is why are we not investing in this? A lot of times we're so busy focusing on what is our cost, what is our overhead. I forget who it was who was speaking about it earlier, but overhead's not as important as satisfying and retaining our clients. It's the same as reducing costs by 10%. And it is 5 times more expensive to acquire new clients than satisfying and retaining new ones. So this is why we're doing client onboarding today. 7% of our clients, according to last year, 7% of all of our clients here in this room, if you are actively engaged in CX, are looking for new vendors. They're looking for new people. We're not differentiating enough, 7% of our clients. 24%, or 1 in every 4 of our clients, has an unvoiced complaint. And then here's what we're doing this all for today. 4 times. A first-time client is 4 times more likely to churn than a client that does a second engagement with you, or a third, or a fourth. So those are pretty high numbers. So when I think about low-hanging fruit, and I think about this crowd, and I think, what can we walk away from today with our books? How can we take some low-hanging fruit and really design and focus on making that client work with us a second and a third time? That's really what we're going to focus on today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. We helped a firm in Minnesota. It's a 1,000-person engineering firm. I'm wondering if anybody gets a joke here. It's bar engineering. So a 1,000-person firm walks into a bar, and what they did was they designed a process. This is very simple. I think we can all do this. So they designed a process where they define your success with every client on every project. That's what they do. And so they talk about communication. So Eddie, do you prefer text? Do you prefer email? Phone call? You want me to send you a pager? You know, like, what do you want? Pitch. I got lots of those. So if you call me on Friday and don't get me at 4:30 in the afternoon, do you expect me to call you back on Friday, or is Monday okay? How many times, Doug, do you want me to see you on the job site? You want to see me once a week? You want to see me 3 times a week? How often do you want to see me? So what they've done is they've set up these expectations, and they talk about in these meetings as well risks that they can face. Who in here's had a perfect project? Come on, none of you. One that we get paid for that we never do consists of a perfect project. But we don't have perfect projects. So we all know what the risks are. We all know what we're going to face when we go into an engagement. So they proactively discuss with their clients, these are the risks that we may face in this engagement, and here's how we're going to handle it. They also want them to define, at the end of this engagement, Mitch, what does success look like to you? What does it look like? And then you know what they do? They put it in their CRM. Does everybody manage their CRM well? Come on, there's no laughter, nothing. Nothing? Man, jokes are falling flat. Come on. None of us do this. We don't manage our CRMs well. But what is great now is now they've got, Mitch, now you're a second-time client of mine, second engagement. Chandra's the new relationship manager. She goes in, she looks at the CRM, she knows everything that you want and how you expect to be treated and handled. And she goes in the next meeting to define your success and confirms everything that she already knows about you. How does that make you feel?
Understood.
These folks know me.
They care.
They care.
Yeah.
They value me. They value what I expect out of them. And it's going to be a lot easier now if I introduce you to Desi, if I introduce you to Eddie, if I introduce you to Doug. You know that we're all going to know you. So then what happens to our number of A teams? They go up. There's bigger trust. You get more brand loyalty. The loyalty starts transferring from me to the organization, which improves share of wallet, profitability, negotiated versus competitive bid. It just does a whole lot of things for you. And you can accomplish this just during the onboarding process. So since 2019, they've increased their share of wallet with their strategic growth clients, 45%. RFPs, this is my favorite one. RFPs are written for them. It's an apple versus an orange. So when they work with organizations that have to have an RFP, they make sure that they're writing it for an apple and not an orange. That way, it's not about price, it's not about anything else. They're writing it specifically for the firm. Their negotiated work has gone up 60%. So now, instead of going out and competitively bid and having their marketers have proposal burnout and all the things that go along with this chasing and chasing and chasing, now people are coming to them and they're naming their price. Does anybody like that idea? It's a pretty good one, right? Okay. They're 33% more profitable, and they've cut their wasted effort by 2/3. So according to Zweig, and Brock, I'm going to have you speak up to this a little bit because you told me it's way more. According to Zweig, 8% of our efforts in professional services is wasted effort. It's gold plating, it's over delivering, it's doing and doing and doing just because you don't know what the expectations are. A lot of that can get cut out in this Define Your Success meeting. And their profit per employee has increased 3 times. So a lot of good things are happening with this, and it's a result of designing processes that they onboard clients with, that they repeatedly deliver to expectations and understand their expectations, while also showing everyone else in the organization knows your expectations too. So now I'm going to pass this over to Chandra.
Thank you. Where's the button on this? End?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm not as tech savvy as you all, apparently. So I'm going to share a little bit about visible value and our approach to CX and EX. I co-founded the firm almost 20 years ago now with the mission that we were going to help firms create more value from their strategic initiatives, from all of their time and effort and resources and energy they put into all of their strategic initiatives, like the strategic plan that sits on a bookshelf. So we do this through a variety of different ways, helping our clients overcome challenges and really tackle the opportunities that you face with all of the market forces that are out there through strategy, organizational, cultural development, leadership development, and of course, innovation. We help our clients make sure that they are not the next yellow taxi cab. And with everything, we wrap CX and EX around what we do, because we're all in what business? People, yeah, we're all in people. So we've got to figure this out. So there's also an EX gap. Like Blake mentioned on the CX side, Korn Ferry did a study last year that said that 90% of C-suite executives rate their organization of having a phenomenal, as being a phenomenal place to work. But only 70% of their same employees did. So that's a 20% gap. That's significant, right? But if only 33% of organizations are collecting regular feedback, how do we really know? Does anyone think it's bigger than that? Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. I think it's on par with the CX side. So everyone familiar, or anyone not familiar with the employee net promoter score? Okay, great. So what do we think the average employee net promoter score is out there in the world of companies? Let's even go outside of professional services. 43, okay. 5, getting warmer. 10, getting colder. 0. Very close. It's 0. And given that the score can range from negative 100 to 100, that's not very good. So what do we think a good eNPS score is? Any other guesses? It's 20 to 30. Did you give him a peek of my presentation? So now, what do we think that our clients are experiencing that have a dedicated employee experience program? What do we think, what scores do we think they're achieving?
75.
Yeah, anywhere from 47 to 76. Most of them more in the 40s and 50s, but we do have a couple of clients who've gone well over 70. It's a huge difference. It makes a, yes?
Is that due to a lot of passives, or do you have a lot of contractors?
Depends on the organization. Yeah, absolutely.
The answer is yes.
Yes. And why does this matter? It matters because of the significant impact that the employee experience has on business outcomes. Here we see a study that was done, and 77% of the executives they surveyed, HR decision makers in this instance, 900 or so, feel it has a huge impact on revenue. Closely followed behind that is customer satisfaction. And then we see on down all of the other things that we want in our organization: agility, innovation, profitability, 61%. It also makes a huge difference on the client experience side. 76% of employees that were surveyed in these HR decision makers firms said better employee experience really helps us help our clients and give them a better client experience. So we've also seen, since COVID, record EX adoption. Does this surprise anyone? No. We've seen it across professional services. The amount of voice of the employee experience, other employee experience initiatives we've seen has just dramatically increased. Another survey said that 78% of HR leaders within 2 years think that EX is going to be one of the most important factors to achieve their business goals. In the same study, over 30% said it was going to be the #1 reason that they achieved or didn't achieve their business outcomes. So we're seeing this continuation, this growing adoption of employee experience. In 2021, 48% of large US organizations had a dedicated EX program. And we're expecting almost a 20% increase this year. It's huge. Why do we think that is? Talent war. Yeah, absolutely. We're expecting record turnover this year. Depending on which data organization you ask, you get varying degrees of data points, but we're expecting up to 24%. Does this scare anyone? It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So as EX leaders, we've got to innovate. We've got to start thinking differently. We've got to make sure that we don't get anywhere near these forest of data points. So the value of loyalty, this is so important. We want to keep those team members. We want to build on those wow moments that team members came to join your company. The reason they said yes when you were recruiting them, as opposed to the 5 other offers that they had. This is a huge opportunity to really build on that positive energy and momentum. So in 2020, US employers spent $1.1 billion, with a B, on replacement of employees. That's a significant number. And as we did some research preparing for this presentation, we talked to our clients, Client Savvy's clients, and lots of different organizations. We found that between 2 to 3 times the annual salary for employees is what people are predicting the replacement cost in 2022 will grow to.
And doing some simple math on this, other organizations, we talked about this, and I think they do it very conservatively. Is why, as an example, they showed last year that the average employee attrition rate in professional services was 17.9% at an average cost of $100K per. I think that's conservative. Surely you could lose an employee voluntarily, involuntarily that doesn't. But if you lose some key staff members and they take some clients with you, that stuff gets real expensive quickly. So just to show the urgency and the reason why people are investing so heavily in employee experience programs, if you're a 100-person firm and you're average on employee attrition, you've got a $1.79 million a year profitability problem. Going out the door, going right out the door, not to mention turning away work, doing other things. So if you're thinking about should I focus on employee engagement and employee experience, do some of that math at your firm. Do $100K per employee, and how many employees did you lose last year? And that's the cost to you.
Yeah.
John.
I was just going to add the observation that we found that when an employee decides they're going to leave, they check out for the next 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
They get a new job.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of damage to client relations.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, and not to mention, she's got a ton of research on this, but employee engagement in general, the percentage of your staff that are actually engaged at work is really low.
Yeah, it's like 30-some-odd%.
The number that's actively disengaged, it's
52%, I think?
52% of employees in professional services are actively disengaged. So this is why we focus on engagement and focus on employee experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So even if you've only lost 1 or 2 people this year, you could still do the math and come up with a great reason why this is not working. Why the investment.
There you go. We're not.
No. I think maybe did the battery die? Oh, there it goes. Okay, fantastic. When you start adding in those costs of recruiting, how many of y'all are using recruiters? Are they affordable? Expensive? Expensive, right? If you start adding that up, the client attrition, the lost productivity before they check out, the lost productivity after they actually leave, and the cost of onboarding all of your team members' efforts and getting them up to speed. And how long does it typically take for someone to get up to speed, full utilization in your organization? 6 months? 6 months to a year. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we found. It's pretty much an average of 9. Yeah, it takes a long time. So you start adding those up, and it's a huge impact on your bottom line for every team member you're losing. And multiple sources show that 28% of team members leave within the first 90 days of being hired. Why do we think that is?
Expectations are on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. What happens in most onboarding processes, the first thing you do? What's someone's first day like? Yeah, yeah. Here's 57 HR forms to fill out. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, well, go see that guy who, works on the other side of the country. Go find him. He can help. And then maybe people meet their manager on the first day. Maybe not. What's much more likely to happen? Their manager is too... Yeah. Absolutely. I had one team member say in a survey where we were working on employee experience, it took him 7 business days before his manager finally contacted him on Teams. So what did he do for those 7 days after he got through the HR paperwork?
Look for another job.
Literally, look for another job. He was like, this is nonsense. So
Not to mention a part of this, I mean, most of your employees that you're bringing on are interviewing with other companies too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good chance that another offer letter is going to come in after they've accepted yours. Might be better, might not be, which is why this employee onboarding portion of the workshop is so important.
Absolutely. You've got to leverage those reasons why they joined your organization in the first place. So BHG found that you can make it 82% in new hire retention if you have a great onboarding experience, if you're continuing to wow them beyond just sending them a really cool box of gadgets. And a 70% new hire productivity gain with a great employee onboarding program, going beyond HR and computer and IT and all that stuff. Gallup found that 88% of employees feel that their company doesn't do a good job of onboarding. That's a huge number. And only 26% of new hires recall even ever being asked for feedback. So we're just kind of brushing over onboarding, we're busy, we just want people to get up to speed. But investing those extra hours, those extra weeks with them for the first part of their time with you will help them grow exponentially and make a direct impact on your bottom line. 20% of new hires are unlikely to recommend their employer as a place to work. That's huge. They just started with you. They haven't even gotten into all the drama that exists in your organization.
They should be excited.
Yes, absolutely. So why not set your team members up for success from the very beginning, create those wow moments, and ensure they stay well beyond 90 days, well beyond 6 months, well beyond 6 years. Why can't you have them for the rest of your career? So, not quite as funny as Blake's, but one of our clients, they're a 350-person IT firm. They are not named Bar Technology, but they do spend a lot of time in their employee engagement whole process, but definitely focused on onboarding and spending time in bars, building those social connections that everybody misses because of COVID. So we worked with them through a significant employee engagement initiative back in 2019 and 2020. But one of the most simple things that we did, that was one of the most powerful things that I think everyone can do in this room, is take your lessons learned process from project delivery and apply it to onboarding. Start capturing feedback. In this organization, a lot of their new hires that we were worried about were client-facing team members. So we started by collecting client feedback. How are these people doing? How valued do they feel? Do they make you feel? Are they making you feel understood? What can we do better? How can we better get them up to speed to help you as our client sooner? In conjunction with that, we collected internal team member feedback from the projects they were working on, the technical teams they were working with, and of course, feedback from the new hires. How prepared did you feel for your first client meeting? Do you have the resources you need? What could we have done better during onboarding? What would have made you feel like a more tight-knit member of our team from the very beginning? After going through that process, we identified themes and recommendations for improvement, got a small team together, small and agile team, to document the findings, make decisions, share them across the organization, and then they modified them in the onboarding program they built in Monday.com. For those of you who aren't familiar with Monday.com, it's a great project management tool, very user-friendly, and you can build almost anything in it. And that was an amazing way for no matter who the manager was, they knew exactly what they needed to do for every new hire, regardless of what role they were in. They knew when HR had completed their onboarding. They knew when IT had completed their onboarding. They knew when they'd gone through different processes and experiences that they need to get new hires up to speed quickly. They also included different notes about their new hires of, you know what, this person needs some more information on this particular client-facing issue or internal issue, whatever it was. And they were able to get so much feedback and really leverage this to build those wow moments. So since 2020, their cost of onboarding, all of that time that people put into onboarding, has decreased by 27%. This is really significant. It hits the bottom line, but even more exciting to the organization was ramp-up time to each individual's target utilization decreased by roughly 6 weeks, depending on the role. How many of you would like to take that 6 to 12 months of getting someone up to speed down to 5 to 11 months? Would help, right? Because we're so busy. The NPS of the clients that the new hires were serving increased 21%. Great movement there. Also, the eNPS of new hires, really awesome. It increased 11%, and overall eNPS increased 6%. All of their team members were so excited, A, to have help up to speed sooner, and B, it was a huge boost to morale. Hey, we're doing this right. We're keeping people. We're not losing 25% of the people that we hire anymore. And they're excited, and they're rolling up their sleeves, digging in and helping us. The turnover of new hires within 90 days decreased from 19% to 7%, and within 1 year, decreased from 12% to 5%. So they were able to keep so many more team members longer, and we're coming up here on 2 years, and I expect the results for 2 years out are gonna be really impressive too.